I haven't paid for an AI coding subscription in a week. Watch this. So when I type in AI commit, which is a tool I have developed, what it's doing is that it is actually passing this particular tool into a friendlier model via a local proxy called 9router. So the whole point of 9router is that it can have fallback and then it can also have normal models. So in the next few minutes, I'll tell you how to actually set it up from scratch and then never pay for any friendlier models ever again. So let's start with the basics right now. So what exactly is 9router? So if you look at this, this is their website. If you go over there, you can see that 60 plus AI providers and then zero downtime. What they do is they will create a proxy. After you install it, they will create a proxy which you can actually fall back based on, like, let's say you have a subscription, it will go to Claude Code or Codex or Gemini or Copilot. Or if you don't have one, then it'll go to the cheaper one, and then you can also go to a free one. So one more thing about this 9 router is that it also has something called caveman mode and then also RTK token saver. So if you are primarily focusing on coding tools, this is actually a good one. RTK token saver will actually save a lot of tokens when it's actually doing coding related stuffs. And then caveman mode, if you enable it, it will cut all the bullshits, like such as let's say hi or like some other adjectives which are gonna be like much more in English language. It will cut down all of that. So these two are by default. It's there in 9router. So how do you actually install 9router? You go here and then like get this npm install -g 9router, and then you go to your terminal and then you install it. So if you install this is actually globally installing 9router into your laptop. So I have already installed it. I think you will get to see there is nothing over there. And then one more thing is that I'm already running 9router just for the demo. So I will cancel that and then we will run it over here saying 9router. It should be saying that okay, it is running in the particular port right now. So yeah, it is exposed in the network, and then you can see it is running in our localhost 20128. Now if we go to the browser and then if you go into here, this is like I have logged in right now, but like if you log out you will see the passwords over here. So it is gated via an auth, but albeit it's not such a good authentication right now, but like you can change the password. So you go into 12345 and then you log in and then you see this API endpoint. So this one I have actually created for demo. I will delete this and then you will see this API key is required to actually make 9router work. So what you can do is like you will create API key and then just give it any name, and then you created, copy this particular API key, and then you're done. And then the second thing is that you have to set up the model, but we will start this 9router in the first place itself. So once you have the 9router API key, what you will do is like you can either paste it into your choice of coding CLI tool or your codex or your like IDE tool itself, or you can create your own tool, which I have did in this particular scenario. I have created an AI commit tool. What it is that it will go through your git diff and then it will find out that okay, what you have done so far, and it will give you in a summarized way so that you have some kind of stand-up kind of thing. So inside that, if you look at the CLI.py, what I have done is I have put the default model, which we will get back in a moment. And then we have put the default base URL over here with the localhost IP, which is our 9router IP. And then if you come down, you will see the 9router API key. Either you can pass this API key in your terminal. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do it over here right itself. Like I'm going to paste it. And then I will save that. Once after that is done, you will see this default model. So we have to give the model, which model to use to get this particular question to be routed to, right? So in that scenario, when you go here, you will see this combos over here, and then you will also see providers over here. So you have all these OAuth providers and everything which is here, which you can use if you have a Claude Code, and then you can use that information giving all the connection, and then you can use which one you want to actually give it to. And then, like, for the sake of this demo, we will be using OpenCode and Memo Code free. Both of them are actually free. So I have selected, you can actually select what are the free ones over here. So I have selected the Big Pickle one and then the Memo v2.5 here from the OpenCode. And then Memo Code free, we used Memo Auto. These two things are already there. Once that is done, you go into combos. Like, there are two ways you can actually do this. Like, you can copy this particular mmf memo auto as a value and then use that as your single model. But the idea of 9router is that you can have a combo in a fallback scenario. So if one of the model is failing, then you fall back to another one. That's where this comes into picture. So you create a combo and then you give it any name and then you give the models you have already selected over here. So I have three of them. You can put it in a way that, okay, these three are there right now, and then I add it. Wait 1 second. So yeah, you have all of this, and then you can prioritize. So let's say my first request should always go to Memo Auto, and then second one should be Big Pickle, that way. And then you create it with that combo name. So since I already have a combo, I will just copy this name, and then that's the name you saw in the code itself over here. Right, so this is again an env file. I think you already know what env files are. So inside the env file, if you put this particular value, it will read from there. Otherwise, I'm going to hard code it right now for the demo sake, and then you put it in hash. Okay, and then once that name is there, the previous demo request which we have sent, you will see the request details and everything, how many tokens which we used, and then how many more, which model we have actually used. So if you look at this, 9router actually routed to OpenCode free instead of like any other model which we had. And then you will get to see like what are the input tokens and output tokens, all those details. So this is kind of like a very cool thing, like which you can use right now, and then you can, circumvent around the friendlier models by paying nothing over here. So if your job is actually like much simpler ones, such as writing the stand-up bot and everything, I think this will help you a long way if you're having a Claude subscription as well. And then you can also use like Anthropic, let's say Claude Code and Codex or anything. You just have to give your own base URL, Anthropic base URL, and then you give the information in a way that like it should be routing to our local host. So if you type in Anthropic base URL over here, and then let's say the localhost 2128, and then Anthropic auth token, this is our 9router key. If you give this information, and then next time next time you open Claude, which will actually use our 9router rather than the actual Anthropic itself. So what I would suggest doing is that, like, you should not actually change it directly. You use it in a terminal. If you're running a particular Claude Code instance in your terminal, you export it in that particular terminal itself, so that only that session will be routed by a 9router key rather than completely foregoing your Claude Code subscription, not subscription, the logged in session. This is one way. This is only temporary, but if you still wanted to make it like, okay, after you have used it, you found out that, okay, this is actually much better than having a single model, you can actually, if you're in a Mac, you can go into nano .ezs hrc. You can just type in over here the same thing, export Anthropic, the key value we just saw, right? If you paste that, it should be like in every single terminal you open, it will persist. So this is one way you can get away from paying for any friendlier models subscription. So I feel like 9router is actually on point where we are supposed to go. This is a way better savings for us, like in a way that it's going to be a game changer basically. So hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any doubt, let me know in the comments.